Michael Badgley, Matt Bryant. The Kicker Whisperer is back, baby! Woo! What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. These are my waiver wire pickups for Week 12. For the best waiver wire pickups, the best fantasy football live streams, best DFS picks, and best draft videos, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so you won't miss anything. Now on to the waivers. There are 3 Turkey Day games and 2 teams on bye. This is the very last week of bye weeks. The 2 teams on bye are the Chiefs and Rams. The 3 games on Thanksgiving in order are Chicago at Detroit, Washington at Dallas, and Atlanta at New Orleans. Surprisingly, there are some quality waiver wire pickups for Week 12. Last week, it was a little bit dry. I think this week is a little bit better. Not a lot of running backs and wide receivers, but there are some, and I think there's a ton of quarterbacks, a ton of kickers, a ton of defenses. Absolutely no tight ends though. What do you think? We're gonna have tight ends? Come on, that's not gonna happen. So quarterbacks, Jameis Winston is now the starter, so I have him ranked number 1. Great matchup. Of course, there's risk. I think there's significant risk with everybody on this list. You probably already have a quarterback that's good to go, except if you're a Jared Goff owner or a Patrick Mahomes owner. I know a lot of you are. Other than that, you should be good to go, hopefully. Hopefully you drafted a good quarterback. So Jameis Winston going against the Niners, Baker Mayfield going against the Bengals. Bengals defense not too good. Lamar Jackson, I ranked him number 2, then I ranked him number 6 or 7, then I ranked him number 3 because I had to go with my gut. I'm thinking one way or another Joe Flacco is not going to start, whether it be injury or a coach's decision, or maybe they lie to us and he's healthy and Lamar Jackson starts. Whatever may be the case, I just think Lamar Jackson's going to play, and I think he's going to do good. He's probably the riskiest guy on this list. You can rank him as high as number 2, I'd say, or as low as right ahead of Colt McCoy. So that would be, what would that be? Number 6, yeah. So going against Oakland, Oakland brings the best out of a lot of players, except for Josh Rosen and the Cardinals. They suck. So question mark there, but we love rushing yards. We love rushing quarterbacks in fantasy. And especially like in my league, it's 6 points per passing touchdown, but in most leagues it's 4 points per passing touchdown, which makes Lamar Jackson a little bit more valuable in standard leagues. Nick Mullins going against the Bucks. Bucks defense is horrible, especially the pass defense. I think Nick Mullins will do very well. Eli Manning, of course, he's risky because he's been horrible this year. Last 2 games, not so bad though. He played against the Niners very well, played against the Bucks very well. Let's see how he does against the Eagles. Banged up secondary. Maybe their D-line does some damage to the Giants O-line, but I think Eli Manning is a decent start. Lots of risk though, low floor. Dak Prescott, kind of the opposite. I think he'll do good. He's just about matchup proof. He'll put up decent numbers, but he does not have a high ceiling. Never. Like, you just have to look at the stats, and the only ceiling he really has is with his rushing stats. If he gets you a rushing touchdown or 2, then he's gonna do really well, but if he doesn't, he's just not a good passer. This is a game where they're gonna grind it out. The Cowboys always grind it out, guys. They never put up a ton of points, and they never allow the opposing team to put up a ton of points. It's usually a medium scoring game, and a lot of Ezekiel Elliott. Dak Prescott does enough to win, but that's not a knock on the Cowboys. They're doing what it takes to win. They're likely going to win this division. Well, how things are going so far, maybe the Eagles make a run for it. It's really, I mean, anything can happen, but the Cowboys are doing pretty well, especially after that Amari Cooper trade, and they're winning games. So not a knock on them, but it's not necessarily good for fantasy owners. I do like safety. I do like a high floor, but we do need a little bit of upside to compete with the team we're going up against, especially if you're matched up against a tough opponent this week in fantasy. Then we have Colt McCoy, who's the starter for Washington. Josh Allen, who seems healthy and is going to play. Not a great matchup, though, and he's not that good. And this just in, Ryan Tannehill is named the starter. He seems healthy. he will play. So when I made this list, when I'm filming this video, Ryan Tannehill was injured. So you can go ahead and put him up 2 spots. So I would have Ryan Tannehill at the 7th spot. Running backs. I had Josh Adams number 1, then I swapped it again because I think Gus Edwards has more upside, way more risk. But look here, man, this could be somewhat of a star emerging, and I don't really trust what Harbaugh says. Why should we? He's not trying to help us fantasy owners and help the opposing team. He's trying to get wins. And he said he's going with the hot hand, but do we really believe him? I don't believe anything. I think Gus Edwards is going to be the man. And as far as Josh Adams goes, yeah, he's a starting running back for the Eagles, but I just don't trust that team right now. They're not looking like them old selves, at least not last year, when they won the Super Bowl. So I'm going with the risky pick, the upside pick, Gus Edwards against the Raiders. That screams to me 20 fantasy points, and it's the type of guy that I would put in a claim for, that I would spend some FAB for and get that type of upside, especially if you need a running back. With Kerryon Johnson not suffering a really bad injury, he is still doubtful. He's not expected to play on Thanksgiving, so go ahead and pick up Theo Riddick or LeGarrette Blount. Of course, Theo Riddick much better in PPR, LeGarrette Blount much better in non-PPR. Elijah McGuire of the Jets, Ito Smith, tough matchup against the Saints, but I got to put him there. Now, I was saying, let's look at this Chiefs-Rams game, and the winner would be more likely to bench their starting running back week 16. Week 16 rest and benchings are super rare, and I don't see it happening, but there is a small chance it does happen. And there are a lot of fantasy owners that do play week 17, and especially in those leagues, Malcolm Brown is extremely valuable. Look, he's a good handcuff. There's a small chance the Rams rest their players week 16, and a pretty good chance they rest their players week 17. Malcolm Brown, very valuable. Dante Foreman could be coming back from that injury. Check up on the status of Washington's injuries. They are so decimated with injuries, especially after this horrible Alex Smith injury that just took place. Alfred Morris, there's no running backs left on the Niners other than, of course, Matt Breida, who's really good. And Cameron Artis-Payne, really a handcuff for Christian McCaffrey. You could go with Traquan Smith or DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is a little safer, but Drew Brees, I think the number 1 MVP candidate right now. I like the quarterback better. And Cam Newton's been playing great, but as far as a passer, which is what we like when we get the quarterback's receiver, Brees is much better passer than Cam Newton. So I'm going with Traquan Smith. I think this is a good matchup for him against the Falcons. Could be a high-scoring game. Breeze at home, Saints at home is just unmatched, and the Falcons should be able to put up some points and require the Saints to throw the ball maybe a little bit more in the fourth quarter. Kind of weird that the Saints haven't really been needing to throw the ball and still have. Drew Brees has been slaying in it and doing very well. Anthony Miller or Taylor Gabriel, really take your pick. And this is, I've talked about this a lot with a lot of offenses this year. You don't know which wide receiver is going to go off. There's just a lot of weapons. And I like both these guys, and both equally. Kicke Cutie of the Texans, and we're really getting into deeper leagues already, guys. Marquise Goodwin, Quincy Enunwa, Seth Roberts, Josh Reynolds, he's on bye, keep that in mind. Danny Amendola, John Ross if AJ Green is hurt, Cole Beasley, and Antonio Callaway in super deep leagues. Tight ends, there are no tight ends to add. But Jonnu Smith, he's been kind of panning out like we thought after that Delaney Walker injury, but only the last couple weeks. Cameron Brate, only worth a look at if OJ Howard is injured and out. The injury is minor, and that's all I'm really being told. I don't know if he'll play this week or not. All I do know is that he's not expected to miss a lot of time, if any. OJ Howard, that is. Chris Herndon, the rookie tight end, Jeff Hoyerman, Antonio Gates, Ben Watson, Lance Kendricks. If Jimmy Graham is out, he broke his thumb, but we have no idea what the timetable is. Will he miss 0 weeks? Will he miss 2 weeks, 4 weeks? I have no clue. But if he's out, Lance Kendricks is worth a look at in deeper leagues. And Nick Van Nett, I'd say he's the best tight end to own on the Seahawks. And that's about it for him. Lots of defenses and kickers, and I'm looking at these. Man, there's so many you can really add and, disregard number 1, number 2, number 3. I really don't think it matters. And just to note, because I know I'm going to get comments, people's going to ask, where's the Ravens? Where's the Texans? They're owned in like 93% of leagues. That's why they're not on my waiver list, because they're already owned. Unless you're in a 4-team league. So, of course, Ravens, they're my favorite defense this week going against the Raiders. Like, duh. Of course, Texans, decent defense going against the Titans. Titans probably won't put up a ton of points. But out of these top 3, even you could say top 4, I really like all of them with the injuries to Washington. And I mean, we know that Washington's not going to put up a lot of points. So the Cowboys are a safe defense. Patriots, a little bit risky, but they're going against the Jets. The matchup is so sweet. And Jaguars-Bills game should be low scoring. I love the Bills D, but I'm going to have to give the edge to the Jags D. Vegas has the Jags winning by a field goal, and I kind of agree with them. I think the Jags D, this is a really good bounce-back game for them. We saw them play excellent against the Steelers until maybe like, what was it, the last quarter and a half? They fell off a little bit, and not necessarily the Jags D's fault. Like, the offense has got to do something too, you know? Help the defense out a bit. And this is a sweet game for the Bills. I think this could be the best game for the Jags D as far as fantasy goes in a while. Like, a lot of people have been dropping the Jags D. Nobody's trusting them. I think this is a trustworthy game for the Jags D. I really like them, man. You could really rank them number 1. Like I said, 1, 2, 3. It's really tough to rank. And even the Bills are in discussion to be a top 3. Then we have the Eagles D, who's kind of fallen off. Browns D, I really like them if AJ Green is out. I see them having a great game. And if AJ Green plays, this introduces a lot of risk. How healthy is he? Is he 100%? Is he a decoy? Is he 70%? We really don't know. That's why it probably wouldn't be worth starting the Browns D. Probably wouldn't be worth the risk if AJ Green is active. But the Bengals, they're playing a lot of games, man. We have no clue what AJ Green's health is. My thinking is he's not going to play, or he's super injured. And even if he does play, he's a decoy, but they won't tell us that. That's just what I'm guessing, though. I really don't know the situation with AJ Green. What I do know is that it's a foot injury, and those are really tricky, especially if you're playing a wide receiver position where you have to cut and you have to run routes. Really tough, especially if you have to come back for the ball. It's, you need the foot to make those cuts and turns as a wide receiver or running back. We have Colts D going against the Dolphins. Dolphins probably won't put up a lot of points. Saints D, this is a super risky one. That defense has been playing very well last couple of games. Saints team is just on fire. Going against the Falcons, though, I trust the Falcons to put up some points. Vegas has them crushing the Falcons. I think it's a -13. I really don't agree with that. I think this game should be like a 8-point difference, 9-point difference, but Vegas knows more than me. I have to admit that. Vegas is just way more trustworthy. They have billions of dollars on the line. They know what they're doing when they make these point spreads. And hey, Saints are at home though, and that's disgusting. When they're at home, they're almost unbeatable. Titans D going against the Texans. This is super deep league territory, guys. Giants going against the Eagles, and Buccaneers going against the Niners. And if you're in a 32-team league, you can go with the Niners or Raiders. Of course, I never recommend you to start the Raiders. It's only on there just because I wanted to, include these guys that are in 20-team leagues or whatnot. They absolutely need a defense. Like if you have the Rams D and you're in a deep league, and you get the Raiders D. It's not looking good for you. Maybe you don't even start it. I don't know. You might just not want to start a defense rather than risking getting negative points at starting the Raiders D. That's how bad it is. Like the Niners D, way better than the Raiders D. For kickers, Michael Badgley or Badgley. I think it's Badgley. Michael Badgley, number 1 kicker this week. When I found out that Matt Bryant was healthy, I went ahead and picked him up last week in most leagues and dropped Badgley. Now I like Badgley way more than Matt Bryant this week. I love him. Excellent matchup. The Chargers should easily win this game. I believe they're playing the Cardinals. Man, I like it. And I believe they're at home too, which is just a plus matchup for Michael Badgley and the Chargers. Chargers D, of course, good. Bosa's back. I love this, man. I'm going to have to go pick up Badgley again. And I don't know. Will I spend a claim? Probably not. Will I spend FAB money? Maybe $1, maybe $2. I don't know, because I really want him. And it's been my rule to never waste a claim on a kicker or spend a lot of money on a kicker, but I did do that with Dan Bailey once this year. It didn't pan out as well. Like he did very well and won me a couple games, but he also did horrible a couple games. So this week, I think it's a case by case. I need to really look at my leagues. I do have Matt Bryant, who is good. I would say probably wouldn't put in a claim and probably wouldn't spend more than $2 out of my $200 FAB budget in the leagues where I do have a free agent acquisition budget. Adam Vinatieri, excellent matchup, trustworthy. Brett Maher of the Cowboys, good matchup. Dan Bailey going against the Packers. Robbie Gould, Matt Bryant, Cody Parkey, Kaimi Fairbairn, Jake Elliott, Aldrich Rosas, who's been surprisingly really good this year, Ryan Suckup, Cairo Santos, Graham Gano, Josh Lambo, and Chris Boswell. Now look, I like Josh Lambo. That Jaguars team not too trustworthy. I'm tell you guys why I have these guys ranked so low. Graham Gano, I think he'll get some opportunities, but he's just not been as accurate as you'd like. I just don't trust him. And Chris Boswell, the Steelers team's very weird. What's going on with Bell? What's going on with Connor? What's going on with Big Ben? Like, will the defense play well? Will Big Ben play well? Will they settle for field goals? Will they kick an extra point? Will they go for two? Will they attempt a field goal? Will they have a lead in the beginning or come back? Like, it's just so many factors. Or will Boswell just straight up miss his attempts? There's so many factors, and that's why when we can't project properly, when we can't predict what's going to happen properly, I just rank them low. Like, I need to have some level of trust or some level of knowing what's going to happen. Otherwise, we're just, flipping a coin, throwing darts, whatever metaphor you want to use. If you're asking a fantasy football question, whether in the comments below here on YouTube or on any social media platform, use hashtag AskTheBrain so I know you're a true Fantasy Couch fan. Make sure you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel right here. We also have a second YouTube channel, Fantasy Couch Podcast. Subscribe to both. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll be having a little bit different schedule this week, so that's why I want you to turn on the notifications so you don't miss it because of Turkey Day. And I'll see you guys on the next video / live stream.